Thank you, John. Thank you very much. And I would like to start by thanking The Economist for inviting me to this significant and very prestigious panel. It's really good to come back to this important event. And I would like to maybe to use a couple of keywords from what the Minister and the Ambassador said. And first is the complex situation. And I think, yes, the energy situation and the whole situation is really complex, and also we're living in times of uncertainty after successive challenges, starting with the pandemic, then the climate change challenge, and then the Russia-Ukraine war, and the recent events in the Middle East. But I think all these challenges and uncertainties make it more imperative to collaborate, as the Ambassador said. Cooperation is important, and this is, I think, what we are trying to do at the East Mediterranean Gas Forum. We saw that the East Mediterranean has a lot of gas resources that are not developed, that are not used for the benefit of the people, not just discoveries, but a lot of yet to find, a lot of potential. And our main objective was, how can we get the different stakeholders together to work to develop these resources to the benefit of the people? And while trying to do so, we were quite keen to strike the balance between energy security and energy transition. We are seeing the challenges of both very vivid, as has been explained in the first session about the challenges of climate change, how it is impacting the whole global scene and the risks of this, but we are also seeing the risks of energy security. We saw when supplies was disrupted during the Russia-Ukraine war, and still some disruptions happening, we see the importance of energy security. So what we are trying to do at the EMGF is, how can we strike this right balance? How can we supply more resources, but in a more responsible and in a low carbon manner? Our main objective is, and positioning of the EMGF, is that we are to be a supplier of low cost, low carbon gas to the region, and mainly to Europe, as this is our main targeted market. So doing so, I think what we managed to do is not just bringing the governments together. At the EMGF, we have 8 member countries. We have Egypt, Israel, Palestine, Jordan, Cyprus, Greece, Italy, and France. We also have 3 observers. We have the US, the EU, and the World Bank. But we're also bringing together not just the governments, but we're also bringing the industry. We have the Gas Industry Advisory Committee, which now have 37 members. It has all the IOCs, the NOCs, service companies, some of the financing institutes. We also have the regulators. And very recently, we are also establishing the scientific committee, which will bring together the academia and the research institutes. And I think this is unique for any organization, that we're bringing together all the relevant stakeholders, not just to discuss and set policies and regulations, but also to do actions and synergies between the infrastructure. At the same time, in addition to what we're trying to do to accelerate the development and the infrastructure, we're also working on the decarbonization. And I think we were privileged last year to develop what we call the EMGF Decarbonization Initiative that we launched during COP27 last year, with the main objective setting out what's the baseline of the emissions in the gas industry, what are the efforts done to reduce these emissions, and then we came up with 2 plans. Outlines for first plan to develop what are the projects to decarbonize, and the second plan, what are the policies and regulations that can be done and adopted by the member countries so that they can encourage the investment in these projects. And the initiative also identified 5 main roles for the EMGF to play. First is the harmonization of policies and regulations. Second is the aggregation of technology. Third is the transfer of know-how and the supporting and financing. And I think the last role, which is very important, is carbon certification. And I believe this is one of the gaps that we have at the East Mediterranean. And what we are trying to do is to eventually, the EMGF would be a certifier for carbon intensity from the gas industry. So, as I said, what we are trying to do is, how can we provide more gas supplies, support the companies, support the countries, and also keep up the dialogue between the different stakeholders, having in mind, which is a main focus, the decarbonization and the green transition.